Miss Julie Newmar has been watching silently over this entire conversation. And look at her vintage Miss Julie. She is the perfect, the ultimate. Oh, try to describe her and not use the word statuesque. Oh, Miss Julie, you are statuesque, and you were the only Catwoman.
Ms. Julie Newmar, it is indeed an honor and a sincere pleasure to chat with you today. We're going to talk about your career, your book, but first, again, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Tim.
Now, you've been a performer on Broadway and TV and film for most of your life. So what is it about this time that you felt was the right time to write your memoirs?
I'm going to be 90 this August, so I better get on with it. I was thinking, actually, I've been working on it for 3-4 years. You keep going deeper into the story or the tale, and frankly, I found my life fascinating. Quite a wonderful life. Yes, and there's still more.
Now, it seems that you've always been interested in performing. At a very early age, you were studying dance and ballet and classical piano. What was it about performing at that early age that you knew you wanted to go in that direction?
When I was growing up, we were given music lessons, and because we didn't have all that entertainment, yeah, we had a radio, but people used to entertain each other. No, that's not the right answer. The right answer is my mother. My mother was the Ziegfeld Follies girl, and she had a shortened career, and I do believe that had her career continued, I might not have been given all the opportunities of dance and music that she gave to me. So it was a great gift from my mother.
Now, you started out your career as a dancer. In fact, at the age of 20, you were a staff choreographer with Universal Studios. What was it like being so involved in the craft at that early age?
Dance was my real love, more than acting, more than singing, more than anything. The body knew, I just understood. I could speak, and had the opportunity of so many kinds of flamenco. I was a flamenco dancer. I had done everything. I'd studied ballet with Brzezinski in Paris. I danced with Margot Fontaine, the great Margot Fontaine in Sleeping Beauty. But being almost 6 feet tall, I couldn't join a ballet company. But still ballet infused nearly all of the acting parts that I was to do.
Now, what was it like for you in those early days of performing as a dancer, first in film, and then ultimately you went to New York City to perform on the Broadway stage?
Well, I had a part in Little Abner. I think it lasted all of 90 seconds, but it was kind of spectacular because they didn't give me any more time. The part was called Stupefying Jones.
What does it do? It's a deadly weapon, guaranteed to stupefy any human male dead in his tracks. Here, I'll demonstrate. Hey, Itchy McRabbit.
Yeah?
Come on over here. All right, honey. 5, 4, 3, 2, blast off. Stupefied. Unstupefied.
And strangely enough, I did the same part on Broadway 42 years later in the same costume. Dance that's what made me.
So you started out your career in Hollywood, but ultimately you went to New York City and continued your career there. You were even part of the very famous Actors Studio, and you were there at the time that Marilyn Monroe was a part of that troupe. What was that like for you making that step to New York City?
Well, to be a member of the Actors Studio, that was an honor. But I had already won the Tony Award on Broadway. It was my first acting role. And I thought it's time to learn this new craft. So I was not at the Actors Studio when Marilyn was there, but I did see her once in a while. She was very quiet. She was just kind of like a mouse, very
Many people who are familiar with you from your role on television may not be familiar with the fact that you're actually a Tony Award-winning actress. You won this Tony Award for Marriage Go Round on stage. What was that experience to get a Tony Award at that time in your career?
a great piece of luck. I was 24 years old. I had not acted before. I was in the great company of Charles Boyer and Claudette Colbert, two brilliant, brilliant actors with a fabulous script. As a matter of fact, Marriage Go Round, a comedy, it played on Broadway for 13 months. It closed to standing room only because Charles Boyer had a movie a commitment in Europe. And well, I was in great company. So I think that had a lot to do with the success.
What did you enjoy most about being on the stage? Because it's live, for one thing.
Yes, it's live. The audience, because the audience is your partner, it's your lover, it's the feedback that tells you whether it's funny or whether your timing. The audience teaches you more than you're really immediately aware of, but that's why actors love theater so much, because it's a full meal.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally satisfying.
And I have to imagine that your experience as a dancer, that had to factor not only into your enjoyment as an actor on stage, but also the way that you approached your craft.
It helps a lot that your physical body can do what the words say, almost in an unconscious way. It keeps you still more often, I think, and there's less uncertainty. Say you're an acrobat like Burt Lancaster, that gave his body much more resilience, more. It fed the words better. It made the dialogue more alive. The body can only enhance the words. So I think that's a very good training for any actors, to have some kind of good physical training to begin with, acrobatics, dance, anything like that.
I have to imagine that the physicality that you have in terms of being a dancer really plays into a lot of the emotions that you bring to your performance.
Well, I remember having to get 2 cats in order to learn the part of Catwoman once I was given the part, so that I would kind of pick up from them how their body moved, or, when they were bored, or, that kind of insouciant thing that they have. And yes, you're more than your words, you're more than your dialogue. Your body is the essence of your character. Very important. Thank you for the question.
My pleasure. Before we talk about Catwoman, you had another significant role that I understand actually you consider to be one of your favorites, which was in a television series called My Living Doll. What made that role so important to you? Because you played a robot, for one thing, which was very interesting.
Well, and the most difficult, how do you be a robot?
I feel dizzy.
Now get this through your computers. You are not dizzy. You're a robot, and a robot can't feel dizzy. You can't feel anything. You're made of low modulus polyethylene plastics and assorted components, and they can't get dizzy.
I compute.
All right, now tell me what's the matter with you.
I feel dizzy.
How do you be something mechanical, less than physical, less than human, and still have an audience want to watch you? I mean, they have to care about you. The hardest part I ever did, it took me 13 weeks to get an understanding from the inside out. When you're not just acting intellectually and moving yourself, whatever it is, like a robot. But it was a great challenge, a fabulous gift to me to have that up to be the living doll. I'm the living doll.
Everyone knows you as Catwoman, one of the most iconic roles on television. But I understand that that was a role that you almost didn't take, but your brother had something to do with it coming to be.
My brilliant brother was visiting me. I was living in New York City. He was at Harvard, brought 5 of his friends. We were about to go out to dinner, and I got this call. And they said, can you be here next week? We got a show called Batman. Well, when he heard that, he just leapt off the couch and he virtually pushed me out the door. Of course, there I was. I had to do it. But what a wonderful opportunity. My gosh, Catwoman.
I know that Batman and Robin will swallow the bait. And when they do, I'll be rid of that dynamic duo once and for all.
Others have tried but failed.
The Catwoman is not like the others. I'll show you how to clip Batman and Robin's wings. I will prevail. Oh, joy, success, and revenge, all wrapped up into one sweet package.
What did you enjoy most about that role? Because you're setting a tone for a role that many, many actresses will follow, but you set the template for it. What was it about that role that made it so special, not only for you, but something that would carry on for years to come?
It was probably the perfect part that physically fit me as a dancer, and the humor, the silliness, that piquant character, that naughtiness, that sushin, that better than thou. You know how cats are. Excuse me. It was just a perfect part.
What have you done with Robin?
Oh, is that any way to greet an old friend, Batman? Not even a hello, how are you? Now. Teaching some manners, fellas.
And anyway, it'll go on, and many, many, many inversions will be made of it, just like the opera Carmen. But I was the lucky one. I was given the first opportunity to create the part of Catwoman.
And you had a big role in setting the look for that character in terms of, certain subtleties in the costume. Explain how that came to be.
I used to make all my own clothes, so I knew how to fit things and make things curvaceous. And she's just seam inside. It's very simple, very easy to do. But it's those little tricks, and sometimes in the wardrobe department, I remember I turned the costume inside out, took a white pencil, and I marked out the shape of my waistline and hip line, and they just stitched it like that. And Durex and the whole thing fit. What the heck? Catwoman.
What was also very special about Batman is that many people remember it as a funny, even camp production. But what made it work, what made it successful, was the fact that there was a cool balance between the campiness and the fact that you actors played it straight. Tell me about how that fed into the success.
You hit it on the nail there. You had to play it extra straight. If you were cute and clever, you tipped the inside joke. So straighter you did it, the more sincere, with slight exaggeration, maybe, That's what worked. That's what worked the best, I think. Worked for me.
Batman, It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end, and the goodest ending I can think of is yours.
It's not ended yet.
It will soon. It's a pity I can't stay and watch. But you know how I hate the sight of blood. TTFN.
And what's that supposed to mean?
Ta-ta for now. I'm off to pluck robin's feathers.
It was a marvelous part.
And it looked like you had a lot of fun with it because she could be humorous at times, and yet there was a chance for you to be very, very sexy in the role too.
Well, of course, with the help of a really great writer and great casting. Oh my God, you couldn't go wrong. I mean, how could you fail?
You're very beautiful, Catwoman.
Yes, you're quite right. I am.
Your propinquity could make a man forget himself.
I don't know what that means, but it sure sounds nice.
Do you know sometimes they'd shoot the rehearsals when, especially when they were doing the fight scenes, or of course Catwoman would sit herself on the side. She couldn't be bothered. She just filing her nails or something. That is marvelous series, really good.
There have been many Catwomen, but what was the secret to making your particular Catwoman purr so distinctly yours?
The purr?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Eartha Kitt has a better purr than anyone has, you know. But I always think of cats, you know, when they want something from you, what do? I mean, they get under your ankles and they just rub themselves up against you, and they just make themselves felt. And they go,
Perfect.
kind of happens from the inside, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It had to have been a lot of fun working with a lot of these, you know, very handsome actors at the time, and not only just in Batman, but in so many of the other episodic TV shows that you were in.
James Mason. Ah, my golly, what a brilliant, loving, and caring actor. He would always make sure that, you know, your face, you know, your face would be in the light. Oh, I mean, when you work with the greats, they will be very generous with you. Mm-hmm. Lucille Ball, very generous. Mm.
Not just Batman, not just on the silver screen, but you were seen in a number of television series, both before Batman and even afterward, on the Monkees, on the Beverly Hillbillies. Was it a unique and different experience each time when you were really being so well known for showing up on so many various and different television series?
I had the greatest time on the Monkees. Everything worked. The camera, the direction, the lighting, the Monkees, every one of them was so natural and easy and fun to work with. Oh, that was pure pleasure. Sometimes it's just marvelous to be in showbiz. Sometimes it's wonderful.
What do you think was the secret of Batman's success on television?
Well, it was the best show of the season. It had the best producer. It had the best casting. It had, wonderful writing. And for any actor, that's your real dream, is to have great writing. And all you have to do is show up and say the words.
You a betting man?
I never gamble.
Well, this time you'll have to, because I now have a wager you must accept. The stakes are your life.
And there was so much fun, and it was original, and they tilted the camera, and they had it was marvelous. I'm so happy it happened to me.
Now, what was unique also about this character is that you, on a couple of episodes, you got to play some characters within characters, like Edna Klutz and an 80-year-old woman. So it was sort of a multi-layered performance at times.
Oh, you've done your homework. Oh my God. You know what's fun? To not be yourself. When you're 20, how old was I? 30? I got to play an 80-year-old woman. Well, how do you do that? Well, you go down to and you look and you watch. But what happens with 80-year-old people, they try to be young, you know. You know what I mean? So it's very strange. All I can say is it's great to be an actor, and it's great to have that kind of challenges. And then guess who I got to play opposite? Now, who was married to Barbara Streisand? Got married to Barbara. It was his first acting role. He was my co-star there. We
James
had some
Brolin.
James Brolin. And we had some naughty bits.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, when you're 80, you can get away with a lot. Think about it.
I think I know what you mean. What was it about the show overall that made it special? Because we have so many darker incarnations of Batman since then. What was it about that time, that initial incarnation of Batman, that made it stand out?
We had more fun. Life was maybe easier. Vietnam was kind of not quite becoming the dour takedown that kind of afflicted the subsequent movie versions that were very dark and very loud and very heavy and very, you know, what happened also is Batman wore this very pompous, thick, padded out suit. And for an actor, how do you act when only your face is there? You know? It wasn't fun. It wasn't a delight. You didn't go out of... It was just a better period of time, I think, in the 60s, 66, 68.
It was so popular. So many actors wanted to be on the show. Even I understand Frank Sinatra at one point. Tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. He called the producer and he wanted, I don't know what role he wanted, but I know he wanted them to write him into the show, because when they go home at night, the actors go home at night, their kids just loved them being, any great actor being Batman. Hello. That's what the kids responded to. So that's why it was so popular for actors.
You didn't return to the role in the second season. And is it true that you got another movie role? What happened after that? Because you were so wonderful as Catwoman, and we were looking forward to you continuing with it.
They had a very bright idea to put Eartha Kitt, and she was marvelous in it. But Eartha only did 1 hour. I had 6 shows, so it was 6 hours. And what happened to the show was, it was very expensive. It was the most expensive television show they'd ever done up till that point. And, well, you know, and then they did something with Bruce Lee. He was in a very minor part, but the show, it bombed. And they destroyed all the sets from Batman, and that's what happened to the show.
Tisk, tisk, and another tisk, Batman. Why don't you just admit I'm smarter than you are and let it go at that?
Was Catwoman smarter than Batman?
Oh, yes. Catwoman was smarter than Batman. Oh, yes. Because she had that whole range of emotions. See, Batman was only the good guy, but Catwoman, she had other ideas about life in total. Know what I mean? I do.
I think you enjoy playing sexy and a little bit sassy too.
I think you hit the nail on the head again.
You are the mother of a Down syndrome son who's also deaf, and yet I imagine that you've taught him quite a bit and he's taught you quite a bit. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, no. Children teach you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gracious. He is so remarkable. When I'm with John, I'm what is it? Forgive me. Hey, I know what unconditional love feels like. He is a soul that is not in the general sense what we think we'd like all our children to be physically and intellectually. We have this idea of, but maybe God has something to do with it. And there's something bigger and greater than even our imaginations. So you gotta kind of be with your wits all the time and listening and watching and receiving this extraordinary world. You had no idea what it had to give you. More than you asked for. I think my life is blessed. That's all. It's just blessed.
What are you most passionate about these days?
You know what? Waking up, having something to do, having not causes. I don't have causes anymore. I have things that I want to learn. I always want to learn. I want to. You know what I've discovered?
What?
YouTube. I don't watch the news anymore. I don't watch television so much. I don't watch TV so much anymore. There's so much on YouTube these days, stuff I want to learn that I haven't learned. I mean, well, 90, here I am. I want to know what's happening. I'm interested in what's coming up. I'm fascinating in the new. I'm so ready for it.
Final question. Many people refer to you as an icon, and I'm not ashamed to say that preparing for this interview, I was a little bit nervous because I was approaching you in that respect. You've made me feel comfortable, but are you comfortable with that iconic status?
Oh, it sounds like an icon, something you hang on the wall and go and dust it off. Because it's got to be a living thing, doesn't it? We have to keep changing. We have to keep wondering and wanting and meeting and there's a lovely thing I kind of wish some people had more of, and it's called innocence. And innocence is when you experience something for the first time, even though you may have been with that person for 40 years. I have a chapter on it, and it has to do with, but never mind. Well, okay. Icon. No, you're an icon. See, you've been doing this for 30 plus years, and boy, are you good at it. And I know why you're good at it. You want me to tell me why you're good at it? Because of that sweet mama of yours. I love her. She's so adorable. I saw the two of you together, and your rapport and what she gives you, it's wordless and it's worldless, world giving. She's so adorable. How old is she now?
She is 106 years young.
Well, she is doing something right in this world, and you should tell the world about it. And I hope people will hear what they could look forward to in life. And it is your sweet, dear mama.
I
How clever
thank-
is she playing the piano? Love to play the piano. Mhm. Thank you, Tim. I think we've had a wonderful time. Don't
Ms.
you?
Julie Newmar, it has been indeed a joy speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your recollections of an amazing career. And we're looking forward to the book coming out very soon.
Thank you, Tim. My pleasure.
It's been an honor. Thank you.